Okay, welcome everybody to today's webinar. In a series of free webinars we're going to be hosting throughout the year with some interesting presentations on the topics of project management, business analysis, and related items. The presenter today, Þórdís V Þórhallsdóttir, is a very interesting person. I met her first in Panama at an event for the International Project Management Association, where she gave this presentation. And it was a very, very innovative approach to applying lean management practices in a very unusual circumstance, perhaps where we are in highly constrained situations and don't have the freedom of lots of options. Sometimes we find it hard to be innovative, and there's nowhere more restrictive than in the cabin of an airplane, where there's no room, there's no extra resources, you only have what's available to you in very tight confines. And Þórdís led an initiative that was very innovative in the application of lean management practices. So I'd like to turn this over to Þórdís. Please begin.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I see that Kevin used my Icelandic spelling at the where you were introduced to my name. So maybe you are having troubles with it, but it's actually, like he said, Þórdís. It's actually spelled the thunder god Thor. So that's the Þórdís, Thorpis, if you want to spell it. Who am I? I met Kevin in Panama, as he already told you. And I work as a flight attendant with Icelandair, but I also work as a project manager. I have recently fallen in love with lean management, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to just take the case study of the lean implementation in the cabin environment and do as my master's thesis. And with that, I went to the IMPMA in Panama last fall. So, on behalf of lean interested people, I welcome you to this lecture in your computer, and this journey will take about 20 minutes and then questions. My name is Þórdís, and I will be your lecturer for today. Please fasten your seatbelt and place your seat back, footrest and table to a comfortable position, and ensure that your window shades are open. Hand baggage you can stow wherever you please, and under all circumstances, electronic devices are permitted throughout the whole trip. Please observe that this is a non-smoking lecture. In your room, you can find emergency exits. I hope, at least, I can see you. In an emergency, high-pitched noise will alarm throughout your building, and I would advise you to open the emergency exits with the door handle on the middle of the door, and have a pleasant trip. So here I am, standing in my own living room at the top of the world, talking through my computer to you in Canada after I met your professor in Panama. So this is quite a strange internationalism, and I wanted to talk to you about my research. I am very honored that he approached me, and I'm very honored to have my first webinar with you. I also want to ask for little patience, since this is both my first webinar and English is my third language. So please bear with me. Yesterday, Kevin asked me about the weather here. I know many of you are interested in Iceland, although this is not, you're not in a lecture about Iceland. I was in Toronto 4 days ago, so I have actually the same weather as you had Sunday. But if you come to Iceland and you don't like the weather, you just wait like 2-3 minutes, it will change. So, to my research. It's a case study on the implementation on management, lean management in the airline cabin, and it might actually be the first execution in the whole wide world. But first thing first, a little background story. Iceland. This is a small island in the North Atlantic with a population of 300,000 people, 330,000 people. Yeah, 1/3 of a million. It actually serves as a hub for travelers that are going from North America to Europe and the way back. And many of them, of course, stop in Iceland. Icelandair, the airline, is one of the two of our national airlines in this country, and the only two that fly international flights. Of course, we have about 35 other airlines, foreign airlines that come into this country. So the company is 79 years old. It has over 4,000 employees. Maybe it doesn't sound like much for you in the bigger countries, but actually it's the biggest privately owned company in the whole country. The only bigger company in this country is our national hospital with a little bit over 5,000 people. So we have 4,000 people working for this company, a little bit over 4,000. And the service on board, just so you know, the background story of that is that alcohol, food, and snacks are sold, and soft drinks are for free. Children have always been and will always be our VIP customers. They get free meals, and the early service, they will have free headphones and the care package from the airline. Who knows something about Lean? Okay, I shouldn't be asking, since I can't see you. We can talk about this later. But what is Lean? I assume that you know a lot about Lean, but just to remind you, Lean is not. Less employees are needed. And Lean is not mean. Lean is actually about reducing waste. If you have learned anything about the Toyota way, then this is the first sentence, I think, in every book. And Lean has 8 categories of waste, and none of them are financial, actually, which is kind of a new approach. The 8 categories are overproduction, waiting, unnecessary transport, overprocessing, excess inventory, unnecessary movement, defects, and unused employee creativity. That is actually a later addition, but a really good one, in my opinion. And Lean is about respecting people, respecting the job of everyone, respecting, like in Iceland we say, the people on the floor, actually. And Lean is to listen. And who is listening? The people higher above in the hierarchy are listening to the people lower or at the floor. Lean would say that the expert on the certain job is the person doing the job. So those making everything better, they have to actually listen to those who are doing the job. Lean is about many small changes with high impact instead of large batch improvements. Of course, not everybody agreeing on this, but this is what I see from at least this case. So where is Lean? Lean can actually be found everywhere if you just look around. Of course, it started in the car production. You know Toyota already, I hope. And then it was implemented in other productions for different products. For example, airline or airplane production. Boeing is actually using this, and all our aircrafts are Boeing. And in the recent years, it has been moving to other sectors and other environments. Like you would find something called Lean Building, Lean Office, and now the service companies are all actually also implementing this. And there is one of the service companies. So Iceland Air starting uses this Lean methodology in their aircraft maintenance service. This was a few years back. And one of the many results was that the C-check, I don't really know what a C-check is, but that is one of the routine checks that every aircraft has to go through. And before it took 20 hours. After they leaned the process, it took only 8 hours. So think about that for a minute. Before, 2.5 work days, and now only 1. So I said it's not a financial, Lean is not about financial things, but of course it can come and often comes with positive financial benefits. Just thinking of if you have a person working for 2.5 days and now only 1. Now you can use that person to do something else. And based on this success, they decided to bring this success, the lean success, to other sectors of the company. So in the beginning of 2014, now a little over 2 years ago, the implementation into the aircraft cabin started. It has been implemented in phases, and we are still in some of the phases, still doing that. Why in phases is actually because not everybody believed in the process, didn't believe that it could benefit at all from it. And they were like, you're in an aircraft. So what about an aircraft? You only put like so many soda cans or water bottles. And it's just like that. Why should we? It is lean already. You don't have to lean it. You don't have to have anything called lean just to lean it, just to have anything to do for you in the office. But this manager actually, they said, okay, you can start in the aft cabin. Aft cabin is actually, now you have a picture of a beautiful aircraft in your screen. So the aft cabin would actually start at the door number 2 on your left-hand side, where it says my stopover, and all the way to your right. That is the aft cabin, and what you would call like the regular people, actually, or whatever. So it was implemented there at first. We have, in those cabins, we have 2 other classes, but we're not going to talk about that, as that is in progress as we speak, now in 2016. But they got consultants on lean, both external and internal, and they went on Gemba visits. I assume you know what a Gemba visit is, but it is like the managers coming down to the floor and seeing how the job is done. And initially they have to like draw up the process, and it's called, of course, the as-is process, just to know how things are, not how you wish they were, but how they actually are, how many minutes it does take, how many minutes you're waiting, and stuff like that. And they use the Gemba walk to ask the flight attendants why you're doing it like this, why you're waiting like this, why you're taking these extra steps, and why. They're like small children, actually. But that is how we get ideas to how to improve the process. Then they held some workshops with the in-flight office staff, as well as many of the flight attendants. And they made the wishing list, the should-be process. And then the small projects were initiated to build the bridge between the as-is to the should-be. So this is pretty normal for every lean implementation. Doesn't matter where it is. But just to give you some examples, our children's service, I told you already, children are our VIP passengers. This has improved the most. They are now serviced earlier and faster. The preparation of children meals that they get for free took up to 35 minutes. And the flight attendants had to look for it. They're like, where is it today? Is it in that trolley or that trolley or over there or in the back or in the front? Where is it? Many minutes. And then heating up and stuff like that. And now it takes under a minute, actually. So from 35 minutes to 1 minute, pretty good one. And of course, lean is always thinking about added value, and or just having everything easier with the same value. And they have made some. They have asked the parents, and actually the parents and the families think this is a better service, since they are getting the service faster and sooner in the flight. And before, each child was visited up to 4 times per trip, and now it's only 1 or 2 times. They get a care package when they arrive at the plane. So there is a cabin crew member saying, hello, welcome, like to have you here. Here's a package from us to you, with headphones and coloring book and some stickers and stuff like that. And then they get the meal. So it's 1 or 2 visits, depending on how you count it. everything in the trolley, trolley, everybody knows flight attendants for having trolleys, it was rearranged and reconsidered. Some products were taken out, and some low-selling products, and others that made space for the others that were high-selling. Actually, a lot of the time for the flight attendants was to run to the aft galley kitchen and get more of the high-selling products, because there were maybe only 3 in the trolley, but they on average sell 24. So now it is, that product I'm actually thinking about is like 18 in each trolley instead of 3. So that is, of course, less running, less extra step, less extra movement, less unnecessary movement. And the trolleys that you don't take into the cabin, that are just stowing trolleys, are actually now the things you take out for you have to use first. They are always just in the front, like the children's meals. You don't have to look for them; they're just there, and it's all labeled and marked at the front. And what is in the back, the thing you have to use at the late flight or at the end of the flight, and that is actually the crew meals, because nobody eats until the service is over. So that is a better thing. You don't have to have these unnecessary movements just to look for something that should be on a certain spot. And products that fit together and are sold in a combo would be put together in a drawer in the trolley, making that to have a less movement, unnecessary movement. So in one drawer, maybe there's a beer and there's a Pringles, can, because that is a combo you can buy. You don't have to look for the beer in one drawer and then where's the Pringles and where else I have to look for it. It's now just together. So the extra visits to getting the high-selling products were up to 55 extra visits to the aft galley to get more products per flight, and are now down to 12 on average. So that is down by so many percent I can't even calculate it right now. Minutes saved on each flight are at least 40, and some of our flights vary only about 2 hours. So when you save 40 minutes, you save a lot of time and a lot of stress. So that's very good. All the meal trolleys are organized, labeled, and color-coded. So it's very easy for everybody, both the people loading the aircraft and also the flight attendants, to find everything where it is. And just because some people have a hard time reading, like getting older or something, then you always can know the color, like, oh, what I need is in a red drawer or a color purple drawer or something. After this was all implemented, like 12 months later, they sent out a questionnaire to all the cabin crew members and asked about their feelings and opinions on the Lean implementation. And actually, some of the questions were 100% like happiness about the project. Not all, but some of them. That is quite unique. But our overall experience was that everybody was happy. Some of them didn't know what Lean was. It just they found out that whatever it was making everything easier. They didn't know why or what, or they didn't Google the word Lean management or something. But they found out it was a positive thing at least. I interviewed a lot of the cabin crew members, both people involved in the process, in the workshops and everything, and others that were just impacted and didn't know anything. I talked to the external advisor, of course I interviewed her, and the project manager accountable for the implementation. And it was kind of good to hear that. I asked them, is your job easier now? And all of them said yes. And I asked, why? Why is it easier? And they were like, I don't know. It just is. I don't know why. But if you think about what I already told you, when extra visits went from 55 to 12, when preparing children's meals took 35 minutes and now down to under 1 minute, when you don't have to look for things, that actually makes everything easier, even though you don't actually see the changes happen or you weren't a part of it. And also are included with the sentence I said before, it's not about a big batch changes, it's about many small, high impact changes. Now I have I will just wait for the questions later on if I have forgotten something. So at least, ladies and gentlemen, we are about 20 minutes in, and welcome to the end of this lecture. The time in your time zone is 12:25. It's 25 minutes past 5 in my time zone. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until everybody has asked their questions. Information on all the lectures will be given by Kevin Arnold in your conference room. I hope that you enjoyed the experience. Thank you for choosing this webinar, and have a pleasant afternoon and, of course, pleasant weekend. I will put up my contact info. Feel free to send me questions later on, or add me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Þórdís. Okay, if people have questions to ask Þórdís, please type them into the questions window on your interface. There's a little questions box. Type them in there. It looked like Betsy may have had a question. She had raised her hand during the presentation. So please take a moment to type your questions into the questions interface. While we're waiting for questions, I do have one of my own. Þórdís, what training on lean techniques were given to the staff? Did they have any prior lean training, or were they even aware that they were part of a lean initiative? Was this done via stealth or under the radar?
No, only the people working at the office, people working with the office. We have a certain group that are working within the fleet, but working with the office staff on just checking and regulating. And then they actually advertised after people interested in the lean management, and people could apply. But of course, those people not knowing what it was or involved, they didn't apply, of course. So
now, was this
not for the whole fleet?
Was this an isolated pilot, or is this part of a larger lean transformation that's going to affect administrative processes or other parts of the business?
That is the hope of that that woman that initiated the lean in the cabin. Her hope was that everybody would see the light and start leaning the office, but that has not been the case, at least not yet. And she has stopped working for Icelandair, so we just have to hope that somebody else takes the initiative.
Okay. Were these practices rolled out across other flight crews, or was this just in this one instance?
The office, there were quite few where they met and found out something. I think they met 3-4 times. Pretty much the same people. But it was only Icelandair, not other fleets or other people.
Right, but it's not just the one cabin crew. It sort of went across the entire Icelandair, like all the flights.
Yeah. Because at least this company, and I don't know how other companies work, but all our flight attendants, they work all legs, all flights. So yeah, everybody has to know everything.
Oh. Very good. A question that came up: if you could do this over, would you have changed the process at all?
The process of making the case study, or I was of course not involved in the implementation. Just took the case study. would I have done something different? Maybe I had sent out a more detailed questionnaire, but that is the only thing. I thought but the interviews, they gave the most.
Okay. Are there any other questions that anybody would like to ask on the call? Please type it into the questions window. That's a little tab on the right side of your interface. Please type your questions in there. It looks like there are no further questions. So thank you very much, Þórdís, for a very interesting presentation. I learned quite a lot. I enjoyed it even the second time through. And I think this is one of the more innovative applications of lean techniques that I've seen.
Yeah, and the paper will be published in the paper of that IGMA will publish soon. So then you can find the whole research.
Okay. Well, with no further questions coming up, I'd like to thank you for your presentation today. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and stay tuned for more interesting brief lunch webinars in the future. Thank you very much, Þórdís.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.